Hello everybody and welcome back to Harvest Moon, Sunshine Islands. We are continuing on with much of our tutorial stuff as we're just getting the game started. I've gone back into my house after socializing with all of the local people. There is one person I forgot, but we will be visiting them probably in this video. But now that I'm in my house, I can probably just take the time to talk about a couple of things. Most of what's in here is useless and for show, which is kind of unfortunate. Like your telephone, for example, it does nothing. There's no way to phone in this game. I know that Harvest Moon DS, for example, has a system where you can call and talk to people and order things, but that's not the case here. This here is just basically all of our tutorials. So any game information, if you've forgotten anything at all, then you can read it in here. And there's also probably a couple things I didn't go over, such as the stamina and fullness. And this is actually probably going to be a better tutorial than I'll be able to explain myself. So I'll go ahead and just read this real quick. Your stamina goes down as you work. Working late on rainy days or on hot days will cause your stamina to drop faster. Sleeping will restore your stamina, but if you go to bed too late, it may not be fully restored. Eating food and herbs will also restore your stamina. Most cooked dishes will restore lots of stamina. Some bad foods will lower your stamina. Your fullness goes down as you move around. Sleeping restores it a little bit, but the best way to restore it is to eat. Your fullness drops faster when you get hungry, so try to stay fed. Cooked dishes are best. So as you can see, we don't have a kitchen right now, so cooking isn't even an option for us right now, which is sort of brutal. Working on our fullness is going to be a little bit difficult for the first little while, and that's probably where all of our herbs are going to come in. And sometimes I get a little bit mixed up because some colors are better at restoring fullness and some colors are better at restoring stamina. So we'll just have to play around with it a little bit and just keep an eye on it as we go along. This table is for show, it doesn't do anything. And there's a trash can to throw away items, so I think basically what they want you to do is hold the item above your head and then throw it into the trash can. But that is incredibly unnecessary because as you can see here, we have a trash option right on our menu. So if you want to throw something away, all you have to do is select the item and then press X. There's a calendar next to our bed, which I will agree is actually quite useful because this will show us all of the villagers' birthdays, as well as festivals to look out for, and anything else important, such as your anniversary date, your child's birthday. And I find myself looking at this quite often because it's always good to know when a villager's birthday is coming up to keep track of that. And we're only able to see the villagers' birthdays that we've met. So anybody that we haven't met won't be in here yet. And we are unfortunately only allowed to look at the current month. We can't actually scroll forward to look at summer, for example, and once we hit summer, we're not able to rewind and look at spring. So make sure that you look at this often if you're anticipating something coming up. For example, we can see that Julia's birthday is coming up on the 6th. So if I'm able to speak to her every single day until her birthday, I'll be able to give her a gift on her birthday and I'll be able to start increasing her hearts fast, which will be really, really good. And then of course you have your bed and you just sleep here when you want the next day to roll around. We will have the option to expand our house. We'll be able to get things like a fridge, a shelf, a kitchen. You can even put a bathroom in here. You'll be able to put a crib in for your future baby. You'll be able to put a place to store your tools and your seeds. You can see outside that we have this plot of dirt, and this house can extend all the way to both corners of this. as well. There's also a mailbox on the side of your house, which is also useless. This building here, to the right of our house, is the supply shed. And basically what you want to do is you want to throw your wood and your stone into there. If you go to the assets screen, you can see that there is a bunch of statistics for us to look at just right off the bat. And one of the things that we can look at is how much lumber, stone, and golden stone we have stored. So if you're not sure about how much you've thrown into here, you can always look it up on the main menu. And the important thing about keeping track of your lumber and your stone is that we need a lot of that stuff in order to build stuff with Gannon. This is empty for now, but this is an area that we can build onto. On the far end of our farm, we have a little fishing boat. And if we want to, we can sail our way on over to the right to Lighthouse Island. There's only one item that's going to be relevant to us, but unfortunately we're locked out of grabbing it for the time being, so we don't really have any business over here. You can also do some fishing here if you want to, but this is just an island that really doesn't have a lot of function. In the top part of our farm here, on this right piece of land, kind of over in this corner of this long strip, is where our barn would go. And then next to it, also on the same strip of land over to the left, is where our coop would go. So we're going to be building all of our animal housing up here. And we already have an area built for our pets, our dogs, cats, and our horses. This is the stable, which is empty because we don't have any pets as of yet. This path here goes nowhere for now because we haven't built or raised the islands that are going to be available to us later on. And similarly, there's going to be a path going out to our left later on to another island that we don't have access to right now. And then, of course, I've already shown the watering hole to fill up our watering can. And that's pretty much it for the farm for the time being. One last thing to talk about before we sleep, because there's really not much to do in the day. It's kind of a shame because we're so limited in what we can do for these first couple of days. Is on the very, very, very southern part of this first island is a boat with a ferryman on it, and this is Kirk. And he is very, very, very important to this game because he will take us to other islands. So if we pull up our large map, the only island he can take us to is Meadow Island, which is the one on the left-hand side. And he's another sub-villager, by the way. You can give him gifts, but you'll probably gain hearts with him naturally just by talking to him, because you talk to him probably almost every single day in this game. This is Meadow Island, and this is where all of our festivals take place. When we have festivals. And there is also a shrine in the northern area here, which we cannot interact with at the moment and does nothing. There's a lot of stuff that we're locked out of at the moment. That shrine is going to be important soon. I think we have to wait until like the 5th or 6th day of spring in order to be able to really start working on our story stuff. And look at that, Vaughn just answered my own question about when he's in town, which I guess are Mondays and Tuesdays, not Mondays and Thursdays, so I was wrong about that. I could hypothetically buy more turnips or potatoes, but I think I'm gonna wait a couple of days and see. So there's not a whole lot for us to do now. I'm gonna go ahead and go to bed. We should be getting more tutorial from the villagers soon, I think. So we'll see if Taro or someone wakes us up in the morning. Oh, it's Gannon this time. Here we go. I knew they were gonna come and bother us at some point. And he's coming to us with tools, which is fantastic. This is gonna give us something to actually do in the game. He's gonna give us an old axe and an old hammer to get us started, which is fantastic. As well as a sickle. Would you like me to tell me what they do? No, I'm good. You know how to use them? Great. Well, I'll see you later. Thanks, bud. I really appreciate that. That's fantastic. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and just put all of our tools in our slots here, with the exception of the sickle, which I don't really need to use right now. So if you skip the tutorial and you're lost and you don't know what these are used for, it actually has a little description on it already. So the hammer is used for breaking up rocks to make material stone and flattening land, and our axe is used for cutting wood and lumber. Pretty self-explanatory stuff. I'm gonna start the day. I shouldn't need to water. We had a lot of rain yesterday, and I want to let the sun shine to catch up to the amount of water that I had yesterday. I have to think in my head of the absolute best way to explain the weather system in this game to you guys, because it is real complicated. I'm gonna pause the game actually while I just kind of explain this briefly. That's kind of the best way I can think of. In this game, it's not just wait a couple of days for a crop to grow, water it when it's sunny, and don't water it when it's raining. You have a couple of different states of weather. So you have really, really bright, hot, and sunny. You have just sunny, and you have cloudy. Really, really hot and sunny days will give you 3 points of sun. Normal, warm days will give you 2 points of sun, and cloudy days like today will give you 1 point of sun. You also have lightly raining, which gives you 1 rain point. Heavily raining, which it was yesterday, which will give you 2 points. And you have a storm, like a typhoon, which will give you 3 points of rain, if I'm not mistaken. So this is why it becomes really, really complicated, because you might think, oh, okay, it rained yesterday, and it was sunny the day before, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to water it. But you might actually end up damaging your plants and killing them if you give it too much water or if they have too much sun. So yesterday gave us 2 days worth of water points. I'm going to save my game real quick. And I will also give another example of this weather shenanigans here with the watering can. So if we stand by this row of crops here, and I just water this square, I've given that 1 point worth of water. But if I water it again, you'll see that the square gets darker. And that means that I've now given these plants 2 points of water. So that is why planting in this game is more of a pain in the neck than it needs to be. A, because you cannot control the weather. The game sets the weather that you are going to be stuck with, like 6 days in advance, like something crazy. So sometimes you are just stuck with what the game gives you in terms of weather, which can be really, really, really bad because sometimes it'll rain for like 5 or 6 days and your plants are absolutely destroyed. You can have storms in this game, which also destroy your crops. And if you're not careful, it's very easy to destroy your plants. I'm gonna go to Chen's for just a second. And I'm gonna see if I can see a difference between the potatoes and the turnips. Because each plant also has requirements. So if we look at turnip seeds, for example, you can see that it shows us that the level of water it needs is normal and the amount of light that it needs is normal, which is the same with potatoes. There are some crops that need a ton of water and very, very little sunlight, and then there are crops that need a ton of light with very, very little water. My recommendation is to keep track, if you can, if at all possible, of what you've planted when and how many water and sun points you've given it. Again, huge pain in the butt. You shouldn't have to do that. Most of the time when I played, I didn't bother. I just played and I let things fell as they may, and most of the time I was pretty successful. But there are definitely going to be certain crops that I am going to be keeping a very, very close eye on. Turnips shouldn't matter too much. They grow so fast that if you just give them equal parts water and equal parts sunshine, they should be fine. In the video description, I guess what I can do is I can include some links to all of the different charts of each crop and the time it needs to grow and the weather and the water if you guys want to look at that and get a better idea about how complicated it is if I haven't explained it well enough. But I'm going to do my best. Because I'm not going to water my turnips today, I guess I'll just go out and speak with everybody. Early on, I'm going to sort of talk to people, but later on in the game, you spend way too much time socializing with people if your goal is to talk to everybody every single day, and it's definitely not necessary to do that. So I'll probably just talk with everybody to get them to trust me enough to give them some gifts. And the bachelorettes especially, I want to make sure that I talk to them every single day. If I have other plans and there's other things that I want to do, then I'll ignore them completely, but I definitely want to talk to the ladies. And by the way, everybody, if there's a particular bachelorette that you think I should marry that you think is better or cuter or more fun than the others, or whatever the case may be, please let me know. I may be doing a poll similar to what I did for Tree of Tranquility, where I just let you guys pick who I married. I like them all, actually. There's not... Well, I would say except for Lana. She's not my favorite. Lana. I'm used to watching Archer, so I want to say Lana, but I think it's Lana. She's a little bit of a ditz, which is not kind of my preferable personality type. But if you guys wanted to spite me, you could make me marry her. I'm not really too sold one way or another. And we are missing a couple of marriage candidates as well, so keep that in mind. So we've met a couple of them, so you might have some ideas about who you think is better, or who you would prefer. But yeah, just keep in mind that we haven't met them all yet. So there might be one that we meet later on that is way better that you would prefer. So I will probably wait until I actually meet all of the girls before putting up a poll. But if that's something that you guys are interested in, then please let me know and I'll go ahead and put up the poll and let you guys vote. And if not, then I'll just pick someone myself. So I'm gonna go back to my house now. I went ahead and I've pretty much spoken to everybody, I think except for Gannon I didn't talk to today. And now the rest of my day is basically just going to be chopping down pieces of wood and banging on rocks and things like that. So I'm going to pass a little bit of time on my own here, gather some materials, and I will be coming back on the 4th day, and we will continue on from here. If you guys have any questions, if you have comments, if I haven't explained something well enough, please let me know so I can go into it in another video. I can provide links if there's anywhere else that explains it way better than I do. And keep in mind that this is just the beginning of the game, so we are going to be having a lot of time to explain all of these things in much greater detail. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this so far. I know it's a lot of talking still, a couple videos in. But hopefully we'll get the ball rolling here within the next couple of days. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope that I will see you next time.